Okay, we're going to look at slope today. And when we talk about slope, we're talking about the steepness of a straight line. Slope is a ratio of rise or vertical change, that's up or down, to the run, or horizontal change, that's left to right. Slope is a rate of change. It can be positive slanting upward or negative slanting downward. If you run upward, it's going to be a positive slope. And if you run downward, it's going to be a negative slope. And it is rise over run. That's where you're going to hear that consistently, rise over run. Okay, so if we have an example here with words or a picture, this uses a picture, sometimes they just give you words, and they want to know what the slope of that treadmill is. Well, you look at the rise, which is 10, the run is 48, you put 10 over 48, that simplifies to 5/24. Now you're going to practice. The hiking trail rises 6 feet for every horizontal change of 100 feet. So it's rising. We know it's going to be a positive slope. What's the slope of the hiking trail? Go ahead and figure it out. Pause it. And here we go. I draw a picture because I say again, it rises, so I know it's going to be an uphill, positive slope. It rises 6, it runs 100. Slope is rise over run. It'd be 6 over 100, which equals 3/50 when you simplify it. Okay, so words or pictures are one way to find a slope. And a graph's nothing more than a picture, really, but we're going to call it a graph. This shows the muffins purchased, the total cost, and it has a slope of 2. Because if you pick any points on this line, they chose 2, 4, and 3, 6, you'd find from that point to there where the blue line goes, that would be 2. From the point you in there and you run, so you rise 2 and you run 1. That's 2 over 1, which simplifies to 2. Just so you see, if I pick this point right here, 1, 2, if I rose from 2 to 6, that would be 4. And from 1 to 3 would be 2. That'd be 4 over 2. That also would be 2. So it's going to be a slope of 2 anywhere on that line. Once you find the slope of any 2 points, every point on that line is 2. What's the slope of this one? Pause. Okay. It is 3/4 because it goes up from this point to that point. We rise 1, 2, 3. We run 1, 2, 3, 4. And it becomes 3 over 4. So we've looked at words. We've looked at a graph. Now we have a table. And defined it on the table is the change of y over the change in x. Once again, it's y over x, and this time we're going to call it the change in y over the change in x. Sometimes you see a little triangle. Delta y, delta x means change. We'll see that a little later. So you find any 2 points on here. They chose 12 and 9, 1 and 3, which if you wrote it as an ordered pair, would be 1 and 12, 3 and 9. And the change in y, they're going to take 9 minus 12, and they're going to put that over 3 minus 1. So the change is going to be subtracting. When you find change, you're going to subtract. How far is it? 9 minus 12 and 3 minus 1. You'll see that's negative 3 over 2 or negative 3 halves. So the slope of these, and any of these you try, is going to have simplified to negative 3 halves. What you got to make sure is when you choose 9 to go first on the top, 3 has to go first on the bottom. When you choose 12 to go minus 12, you got to do minus 1. The corresponding x has to go with the y. Okay, here's our example. What's the slope of this line? Remembering that slope is change in y over change in x. I chose 1 minus 0. That's my change in y. And again, since I chose 1, I have to do 6 for x minus 2, which equals 1/4. So the slope of this line, wherever that line, if I drew it, the slope would be 1/4. And again, if I use any of the points on here, it would give you the same slope. So we're going to practice now. We've done a picture. Let's practice a picture. You find the slope. Pause it. Okay, the slope is rise 3 over run 15, which simplifies to 1/5. That's it. The slope of that line, the slope of this roof right here, is 1/5. That's all that means. Find the slope of this line. Here's a point. Here's a point. Go. And we see that if we ran it up, we rise. So we start from here, that's 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. And from here we go right, 1, 2, 3. Rise over run is 4/3. It is uphill, so it's positive, so it's positive 4/3. Okay, find this slope. Now this is going to be negative 3/4. 1 is downhill. So right there we know it's negative. Rise over run. We can either climb and go left, or we can start here, go down, and then go right. It doesn't matter if you go from this point to this point or this point to this. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you put the change in y first, the rise first, and it could also be fall, but we call it rise over run. It goes down 1, 2, 3, and it goes over 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's negative 3/4. Okay, that was with the graph. Now we're going to find the slope. I did this one for you. Sorry. This would be practicing finding the slope. I did 7 minus 1. That's my change in y. Over 3 minus 0. That's my change in x. That's 6 over 3. And that slope would be 2. The slope would be 2. Okay, there's one more thing to look at. First off, the symbol for slope is m. Can't tell you why, just know it is. The symbol for slope, the letter they use, the variable they use is m. So if you see m equals, you know they're going to be talking about slope. M equals, if you have any 2 points on a line, now you say, well, hold it, there's a line, I could just do the rise over run. Yes, you could, but sometimes they're going to give you just the coordinates, and they're not going to give you a graph, a coordinate plane to go off of. So this y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Notice the consistency. Y is on top, x is on bottom. This is nothing more than the change of y over the change of x, which we just did. Let's see how it works. You can make either one, x1, y1, x2, y2, as long as you stay consistent for these points. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And just like we said for the table, if I decide this is going to be y2, this has to be x2. And I put that up here for you to see it. I chose this to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's the way that works. And you see that it's 3 minus 2 over 5 minus 2, which would be 1/3. So the slope of those 2 points, the slope of the line that those 2 points sit on is 1/3. You find the slope of these points. The slope of the line these 2 points sit on. I keep saying that wrong. The slope of the line these 2 points sit on. Go. And again, I go ahead, I just make it easy. x1, y1, x2, y2. I take x2, negative 3, minus y2, negative 3, minus y1, which is 5. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. I take x2, which is 3, minus a negative 6. 3 minus negative 6 is 9, because minus and negative is the same as adding. That'd be 9. And that would be negative 8/9 would be the slope of the line these 2 points sit on. We're going to spend the remainder of the class practicing problems from pages 185 to 187. I'm going to share my screen with the class. If you're doing this because you're watching this from home, you weren't in class today, pages 185 and 187 have some good practice problems on there. There's also going to be, and there is an assignment posted for you to work on slope alpha Alex. It's due by midnight Sunday. Your quiz this week won't have any slope on it. There's going to be a lot of review stuff on it. Okie doke. Thank you.